Yeah, good, thanks.
Kate! Hi, darling. I can't see anyone yet. Hold on. I think we're on. Well, you know what my setting up's like. I think we're okay. I think we're on. Oh no, I am being repeated. Talk amongst yourselves. Well, you know what my setting up's like. Oh gosh. I think we're okay. I think we're on. Did it, didn't I? I'm getting like a pro. Can you hear me? Right. Then I take it we're live and we're not repeating anywhere, so this is good. So morning everyone that's watching, good morning anyone that's going to be live, anyone that's watching on playback, morning everybody in the whole world. We are sending out positive vibes and love today. So today our therapy talks is going to be on pain. Well, it's all encompassed really, isn't it? Pain and loss. And did you know, everyone, this is Mental Health Awareness Week in the UK. It's Mental Health Awareness Week in the UK. So, and the topic on that's kindness. But this definitely incorporates into it. So anyone that's watching that's found us through that, nice to see you. And so today we're talking about pain. And pain can be incorporated obviously in many different ways: emotional pain, spiritual pain, physical pain that manifests in itself, maybe because of a trauma from the past that manifests itself in the body. There's so many different kinds of pain. Pain of change, if you're going through life changes and it's a loss of your old life and a rejuggling of who you are. So there's so many different kinds of pain that we can experience. And from my own personal point of view, my gosh, I've experienced so much pain in my life. And it is the way you look at it, perspective, because it's actually growing pain. Look at that, it's just come out of nowhere. Because without the pain, I would never have grown into what I am. So yeah, I'm going to call it growing pains, because everything that I went through with the loss of my health got broken down to practically nothing when I couldn't talk, when every word I used to say was like a razor blade on my throat, because I've got a thyroid and Hashimoto's thyroid problems, underactive thyroid. And it kind of got worse and worse throughout my life, and to the point where 10 years ago, when Ethan's dad left me and Ethan, and when my best friend of 20 years left our world and all the businesses together, that pain from loss, pain from grief, pain from emotional pain, combined with my Hashimoto's and combined with my thyroid pain, which I didn't even know I had at the time, all of that manifested in a complete breaking down of my body over time. And I did go on a gradual healing journey through spirituality and the foods that I eat, stuff that I've talked about many times in the different videos, but also see, my brain, I've been up since 6. But also, so what was I saying? Oh, that's what I was saying. NLP. I found NLP, just came to me, and NLP changed a part of me that was a trauma from when I was a child, and my voice hadn't been released. My voice wasn't heard. I wasn't worth hearing. And it had kind of manifested in this life of being out there and using my voice for everything, to prove I was okay, I was all right, I was worth it, I could be heard. All of this came flooding out in my life, but internally, my body was holding on to that grief. And NLP helped me go back to the places where it was holding on to that pain and releasing that trauma. And it was almost like a rebirth after the NLP, because it really did change. It was like a release on my throat. It was like my whole throat just opened out, and once I released that trauma, and it was an incredible thing. And unfortunately, my thyroid is very, very damaged, so it's nothing that can, well, nothing in my awareness, because I've tried a lot of different things, that I can heal completely naturally myself. So I am on medication. But the difference between me now and when I was on my NLP journey and back again, it's a different person. I'm a different person. I've got my life quality back, and I'm forever grateful to NLP and to that. So pain for me is a multitude of different things, all thrown into one big manifestation of something inside you or externally, because you can attract it too. So I'm going to throw out to you, Susanna, pain. You're not pain. You're pleasure.
No, I'm not. Well,
Your
it's good to
pleasure.
see you again. I think I missed last time. Now I missed the last meeting, so I was kind of missing you girls.
Oh, I miss you more.
Sorry, my cat is here trying to be part of it.
It's all right.
Well, I totally agree with you on that. When what you said, Danielle, that the pain is growth, and I think if there is something that taught me a great deal in life, is pain. Because I lived with it for a long time. Actually, when I was a little girl, I was always having pain, and we thought that there were this growing pain, but actually it proved that even after, as a teenager, and actually up until the late 30s, I had to deal with this pain. And it's only after the late 30s that I started to feel free of it. So it took me a long time and a long process of discovering what pain is and how it helps and how do you deal with it. And I think we're really, well, emotional pain and physical pain, they're somehow the same thing, because an emotional pain eventually translates into some sort of a physical signal or a state, isn't it? And if it's usually if it's the pain is very strong, what we do, we repress, and then when we repress, we don't feel it emotionally, we become numb, but eventually it goes down in the body and it creates a sort of a physical pain ultimately. So I think we can't dissociate these two too much. So pain is, what is it? It's a signal, right? It's a signal that the brain is giving that something needs to be looked into. So for me, pain now became a signal. And of course, if the signal is strong and if you have a very strong physical pain, it's good to go and check with your doctor, because you don't know what that is. So the body is showing you it's an emergency. And usually we know, unless we are a bit, anxious about our health all the time, a very strong signal of pain is recognized by people usually as being a signal, hey, maybe I should go and check it out. But usually pain, it's a signal that goes from your brain into the area where something is going on, and it goes back to the brain. So for me, after years of search and after years of trying to get rid of the pain, I understood that basically pain is just another signal, just like thirst, just like itch, just like any other type of physical sensation. So when you look at it that way and you dare to sit with it, then something happens. And me, I went through different stages. My first stage for me with the physical pain was Ayurveda. So I understood that some people, some constitutions would have more tendency towards pain than others, right? Because remember, we have the 5 doshas, the five elements that combine into the 3 doshas. The vata, which is the wind, are the people that are more thin, more skinny, more fragile, more delicate. So they would experience more pain in the body than others, just by the constitution itself. So I learned that and I started to apply that. That means to change the way you eat, to change the way you treat your body, to treat your body with more kindness, to apply the opposite qualities, and so on and so forth. So that plays a great role for chronic pain, for fibromyalgia, all kind of physical pain. If you have chronic pain, arthritis, like for me, for the joints and the legs, it's good to do a background work. That is important. I don't think we can bypass that unless we are a yogi and we are a master of our minds and we can just liberate ourselves and go through it. That I read of, stories of yogis that I read of doing that. So that was the first stage, but the most important stage was one night, I remember very well, going to sleep crying. I was crying because of the pain. And of course, that sense of self-pity, right? Believing that I only feel the pain and everybody else goes to sleep without a pain. And of course, you feel like a sense of injustice and you feel like you're a victim. And so I said, okay, feeling that way is not healthy. I mean, I don't think I'm helping my case here, feeling bad about myself and about the pain. And so since I was always a searcher and a believer in God, I said, okay, if everything is God, and I was a yogi as well at that time, that means I had already practiced yoga meditation. So I had some notions available to me back then. So I said, okay, what I'll do tonight, I will just sit with this pain. I was just not sitting, I was laying down in bed. But I said, rather than feeling it and resisting it so much and feeling so much hate against it, I said, okay, I will just let it be and see what happens. And what if I just feel it as electricity? What if I just feel it as love? What if all these sensations that I feel is just love or God himself talking to me? And I went to sleep a few nights in a row with this thought in mind. And what happened was that eventually not only the pain diminished, but I have developed a very, how do you say, accurate sense of perception of my own body. That means now I can think of my liver, I can think of my pineal gland, I can think of my thyroid, and I feel it right away. I get a sensation in my body. So what I thought it was a negative experience, actually, by turning it around, it became a way to connect with the world in a different way, and a different way to perceive reality and perceive the world. So that was one of the big gains that I got from pain, that awareness that my sensitivity is a gift and is not a curse. And of course, if my mind, if I'm so sensitive, like Vata people are, and I'm a Vata person, if I'm so sensitive and my mind is always turned towards the negative, of course, I will just pick up the negative, right? But if I'm aware of what I'm doing and I turn my perception towards the beauty of life, the magic of life, what is possible, of course, my sensors will capture that and will bring that into my body. So what it used to be a pain before, now is just waves of all kind of beautiful sensations of energy. And it's an amazing process. And it's been years that I haven't felt that pain. So I'm kind of cured it, if you want. And I have another story, but maybe you want, I will tell you later, maybe you want to let
Yeah, I'd love to hear it later. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thank you, Susie. That is amazing. So, oh, I love that. Yeah, turn it to love. Focus on it and turn it to love. So let's go, Marie. You're next to Susie today. Togetherness. Hello, my gorgeous. Pain.
Hello,
What is
everyone.
that to you, my darling?
Sorry, the sound broke out for half a second. I beg your pardon.
Oh, that's okay. No, pain. Is the sound okay for everyone, by the way?
It is now. Actually,
Good.
it is now.
Yeah. So pain. What would you describe pain? How would you describe and deal with pain, Marie?
I would join. I recognize really the two discussions that we just started now. Pain is definitely, I think, for me, a growing. A place of growth, but it took me, and it still take a lot of time to accept that. Pain, again, yes, it can be emotional and physical, but I join to that in the fact I think eventually it's something you feel into your body. Even if it's an emotional pain, comes a point you're going to feel it somewhere in your body. You know, it goes down into the body. And this is how we can get that feeling. It's a way of waking up your body. And I see pain as my body telling me something. And there's few extraordinary books in that way as well. One in French also called Tell Me Where You Saw and I'll Tell You Why. And it's really focusing as to if today I've got this big throat closed and I feel very sore. What does it mean? Why am I sore there? Where can I get, what's happening? What is my body trying to tell me? So for me, pain is an alert of the body trying to tell me something that I'm not opening my eyes on. And by trying to search why I've got that pain, okay, it can be, of course, purely medical because I've cut myself and it's the nerve response because the knife just cut my finger and sending me out. You should have, but yet it sends me the pain for me to move my finger off the knife, right? So, but that can be something like that. But when it's a pain that comes and sits, whether it sits in you, it's recurrent, it's chronic, it is definitely telling me something. Yeah. And the mere fact that I will try to understand, and that's where NLP comes a lot into it as well, will help me to open up and try to go and dig down what is, whether it's a trauma, what is the emotion that I've stored and that is now resulting into pain or my body is trying to release by giving me pain. Yeah, I mean, pain, like lots of people, I think I've experienced, quite an amount of it. And I would definitely say it's a growing pattern. Not comfortable. But again, acknowledging it, saying, okay, you're here, you're urging me, that's fine, that's fine.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with you? And not fighting the pain is already, I think, a small victory on it. Accepting. What I would often do is try to imagine the pain when it's physical getting diffused into my body, like breathing in. And the more the more accurate and sharp the pain is, just try to blow on that pain and shift it everywhere into the body. I find that makes quite a big difference. And when my daughter comes to me with, regular pains, that's what I said to her, just try to focus. You breathe, and when you blow your air out, you expire, blow this air on that pain that you see exactly where you feel it. And the longer you do it, you let it diffuse. And as soon as it comes back, carry on again. Go on that pain and get into there and go with it. Don't fight it, just go with it.
Thanks, Marie. Yeah, lovely. Thank you, darling. Okay, so Lee, do you want to say?
Yeah. It's interesting, actually, as you talk. My brother was physically very ill throughout his life, and he suffered with a hell of a lot of pain. But he was one of those guys that never really had like emotional kind of issues. He wasn't a sort of a he had one really bad breakup before he met his wife, and for him that was hell on earth. And he said to me, I remember him saying to me the one day, because I have had sort of, different types of issues. And I remember him saying one day, I'd rather have the physical than the emotional, which was kind of fascinating because for him that was so intense and so desperate. So when you mentioned pain, my thought went to, yes, emotional, physical, spiritual, whatever. But currently, the pain of loss is kind of, I suppose, which weighing quite heavily on a lot of people. And by that, I mean loss of our freedom, loss of our previous lifestyle, loss of income for many, loss of life. I mean, the suicide rate, the domestic violence rate, and that creates massive pain and grief. And grief, again, grief is healing and amazing, but it's the pain of grief before you get to the point where you can kind of heal through it is huge. So it may also be worth bringing into this, because it is a specifically sort of COVID time thing that we've got, together, is the pain of loss, and how do we handle that? How do we deal with it in different ways? I mean, I've got, from a physical perspective, I think there's a lot of the Louise Hay, you don't necessarily need her affirmations, but you can have a look at, Marie mentioned throat ache. What is a throat ache? Something to do with decisions, I think, or decision making, which is probably pretty massive at the moment, because we have to decide, where are we going? Who are we? What, but also, so there's that sort of affirmation, but then I think one needs to bring their own affirmations in, like, what's real to you? What are your own kind of, I don't necessarily think that somebody else's affirmation is going to take you far. But then also the stuff with regard to self-hypnosis, like taking yourself back into a space where you can actually deal with it. And there's so many different ways that I won't go into unless we kind of get to a practical point that we need to. But of actually getting in touch and dealing with and healing your own body. And we are the masters of our own bodies. And it's hard to create that space where we're actually working on it and doing something about it. But if we do, the difference is incredible. And again, it's like taking that time to go in, taking that time in the day. This morning I was all over the place. So before I came on this talk, purely because I'm losing my office, I suppose that's why I'm bringing it in. But I actually took the time to go and do breath work and a harmony sort of guided visualization, because I thought I need to get myself focused so that I can continue the day, so that I can be a positive person for myself, for my son, so that I can be beneficial on this group, else there's no, but we all are human, and we've all got these pains and these things that we have to find ways, and we have to find the ways that work for us. And I think each one of us is individual. And so, like in working with a client, often people say, okay, what do you do for pain? Well, you see, like Susanna spoke about the water and the other elements, each person is going to need to deal it in a different way. But But when we can find that within ourselves and just start to, when we have the desire to use it, the more we use it, it's practice, the better we get at being able to cope with the pain of loss of, like you said, your thyroid and things. There's pain in that because you're not who you were. I spoke with Susanna about the horse incident and my personality. Things have changed in my life. There was a pain or a loss of what I was able to do pre and post the accident. But we have to handle it. We have to grow from it. And if we don't, then we're going to shrivel up. So...
And anyone that's watching this that doesn't know what Lee's talking about, Susanna does a series of interviews and it's called Beautiful Minds, and it's fantastic. And when she interviews different people, different therapists and different healers, and goes into what makes them tick, what makes their beautiful mind. And she did a talk with Lee, and it was an incredible talk. And Lee has been through some amazing things, but you know what, you're out the other side, you're out and you're through, and look how incredible you are, Lee. So recognize that, because that's just a different pain, but everything is a movement, and it's constant change and growth. So yeah, everyone go watch Beautiful Minds because it's great. Okay, so Kate, thank you, Lee, by the way, thank you, darling. Kate, my gorgeous, look at you in purple.
Hello.
Hi, darling.
Hello.
Pain and healing, and what would you say about this?
Well, pain, if I talk about personally how I've experienced pain through my life, a lot of emotional stuff, as we all go through in life. And it was in my late 20s when I really had like a real sort of burnout kind of thing, where for the first time, I realized how much my mind was affecting my body. And before, I didn't realize, I had no idea that the two were really related. I thought my thoughts were my thoughts, and my body just felt as it felt, and that was it. And that I had no control over any of it. And then I had this experience where I woke up one morning and half of my face was numb. And it was like this numbness, and it all went down my body over the weeks ahead. And I went through all sorts of tests and everything else. And in the end, they said, oh, it's just stress, just stress. And I thought, God, if my mind can do that to my body, then what else can it do? And so I started playing around with, because being a scientist, I like experimenting with things. So I thought, okay, I'll be an experiment. So I thought, if I can create this numbness just with the way I'm thinking about life, then I can change it. I can change it. Maybe I could move it. And I played around and I moved it around my body. And I thought, well, if I can move it, then I can change it, stop it. I can make it go somewhere else. I can let it go completely. And so I played around with it, and then from that, the numbness went away, and then I got more pain. And I think pain is a bit like, I think was it Lee saying that it's better, the emotional pain is actually more painful than physical. And I found that once I'd got away from the numbness and got into pain, I thought, great, pain, at least I'm feeling something. I feel alive now, because numbness was more like dying than alive, So when I got pain, I welcomed it. I thought, yeah, I'm up to pain now, I'm moving upwards. And so for me, pain is always something welcome. It means I'm alive.
Yeah.
And when I get pain now, again, I can move it around my body, put it somewhere else. So if I've got a real bad headache, if I send it to my little toe, then that's a lot less painful for me.
Wow.
So I just move it. It takes a lot of practice, but that's what I do. And then there's no reason why you can't just put it outside yourself completely if you want to. Mm-hmm. But part of it is not, as Susanna was saying, it's not about fighting the pain, because the pain's a message. It's there for a reason. And I will always welcome it. I'll say, oh, thank you, my mind or my body, whatever part of me is feeling pain right now. Thank you for this message. I don't know what it is yet, but I appreciate you coming and telling me something. I can't really deal with it right now. Can we just sort of dial it down a bit, because I haven't got time to deal with it now or whatever. And just play with it and be playful. And when I'm working with people, it's interesting actually this Sunday, because I do these guided meditations online live every Sunday. I know
Yes, you do. And I've been to it and it's amazing. Anyone that hasn't seen it, go to Kate's page on a Sunday at 10 a.m. English time.
Yeah.
She does these incredible meditations.
So I was doing one this week on pain, because I had one of my cousins wanted to come along. She came along and she had a specific issue with pain. So I said, okay, we'll do one on pain today. And we were playing with pain throughout it. And she was able to move the pain in her back up just onto her shoulder. She took it up, put it up on her shoulder through the sort of guided thing we did. And then from that, she was able to just sort of flick it off.
Amazing.
And so, and she'd forgotten, she'd been doing a lot of therapy back a few years ago, and she'd forgotten she could move pain around. She'd forgotten she could do that. And so there are so many tricks to it. And it's not a case of just going and getting a painkiller and taking the painkiller and all the horrible side effects you get from these things. The pain's a message. It doesn't necessarily want to be killed. And yeah, I get that sometimes you have to do that because there's no other option and you just can't cope without something to stop the pain. But there's always a message, because pain is just your nervous system talking to you through your body in some way, or through your mind if it's like an emotional torment that's going on. And so for me, it's about, how do I change this? And I had this big reframe, as I said before, that pain's better than numbness. You know, and if I wake up in the morning and I'm in pain, then at least I'm alive. I'm still alive. You know, there's more right with me than wrong with me, otherwise I wouldn't be alive now. And so I'm thinking about, how do I make that more of a positive reframe for me, that something works. There's no point just saying it and not really feeling it, not really meaning it. But once you really experience that reframe that really works for you, and you change the meaning of pain for you, then you can just welcome it and sit alongside it, or ask it to sit by you and talk to it, find out what it wants to say. And the less that you rage against it, the less you try and numb it away or take painkillers or whatever, the more you can sit with it, allow it, then you're not giving it more energy, because it's already energy. And then the more you can allow it to be and just flow, it can just flow through you. It doesn't have to stay stuck inside you.
That's right.
And you can play around with it. And so I think it's about, the message for me is it can change. And I say also, Danielle, because like you, I have Hashimoto's, so my immune system is attacking my thyroid too. And I get terrible pain some days, you know, really, especially in the evenings, you know, really tight cramps of muscles and things like that, when the medication I take in the morning is slowly wearing off. And I've had a big discussion with my body about this. And I know that it's all the things that I'm doing with my diet and my lifestyle, and keeping my stress at reasonable levels, and just managing all those things in your life you need to give your body the best chance of being well. Then we've got to deal, my body and I. We're working on it. I'm doing all I can to support it, and it's doing all it can not to give me pain and give me, you know, grief about it, because it knows I'm doing the best for it that I can. And I know that it's healing. I talk to it and I say, how are you doing? And it says to me, it's a process. The word I get is process. So it's just telling me it's going to take time. Be patient. I'm not the most patient of people. I like things to be done now, you know. So it's like, okay, patience. Okay, I trust you. So I trust my body now to do its best by me. It's always trying to heal. It's a healing machine, isn't it, our body? So it's trying to heal. And when it's struggling, it's sending me messages by pain. So I listen to his messages, try and do what I can to improve whatever needs improving, to support it so it can go away and heal itself.
Absolutely. And I find as well, I had a couple of clients actually that have had COPD or breathing problems or asthma. And obviously this coronavirus is attacking the lungs. So that's inviting in anxiety, because they've got these issues that are underlying them anyway, and then they're worried about this coming. So I find that very powerfully, if you can get into the present state, using the now state, and looking at right now, right here, right now, what are you feeling? Where are you feeling it? and focusing on it, and even making it bigger so that it is changeable, so you can make it bigger and you can play with that way. You know, if you've got a headache, or if you've got breathing stuff, to emphasize it and maybe change the color of it, change the shape of it, change the size of it, and then, as you say, move it around and see if you can put it somewhere that you won't be so fearful of. And when you're in that present state and you're not inviting in the anxiety, then your body doesn't act into panic mode, and your whole body and your whole neurology and everything just calms down, and you can deal with exactly what's happening without inviting in a whole host of worry and extra trauma, you know, and in a situation that may not and probably will not happen, you know. So staying in the present is so important. And you know, we've got a host of videos on the subject between us all, you know, how to get into the now state. So anyone that doesn't know how to do that and getting into the present, just do some looking around. Has anyone got it on their website, the now state?
I do, yeah.
There you go. So go to Lee's website and you'll be able to see how to get in the now state. And yeah, just feeling that now state and that presence will free you. It will just free you up to deal with right now rather than the future, which may not happen. So excuse me, half seconds, carry on talking. I have a doorbell. Keep talking between yourselves. Susanna, speak.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's amazing what you all shared here. I mean, it's so inspiring, isn't it? And you know, because we all have this impression that everybody else is fine and we're dealing with a pain ourselves, but actually everybody has to deal with some sort of pain or another. And I think, to me, pain is a way, anyway, for me, pain was a way for my body to bring the attention to itself. Because being a Vata nature, that means too much in the air and the wind, I tend to go too much in the abstract. And so the pain was kind of bringing me, you know, you're here and you're grounded. So pain is a grounding experience as well, because it brings your attention to the physical part. But another point that I wanted to make was that pain is part of life. You see, that's the thing. And for me, for a long, long time, my goal was to get out of pain. That was my goal. I want to get rid of this pain. I want to feel free of pain. And, you know, by going through all these experiences, by trying this and that, by changing my lifestyle, changing the way I was eating, doing yoga, changing the way I was breathing, working with the energy, being mindful and taking care of my body, eventually my perception changed. And I realized that the goal is not, if there is a goal, the goal is not to come out of pain. The goal is to experience life, beauty, and magic despite the pain. And when you talk to people that go through pain, and many people have to live with pain, you learn a lot from them because they manage to get bigger and larger than that pain. And I think that's important too when we deal with physical or emotional pain. This is what I do in my sessions with my clients. When a person experiences a very important, a serious emotional pain, it's because the emotion is too intense to handle. And so what we do, we create a larger space, and the now state is exactly what you were saying earlier. The now state is the way to do it, but there's other ways. So if I am an ant and I am right in front of an elephant, of course I'm going to feel completely overwhelmed and I'm going to be scared and I'm going to feel like I cannot handle it. But if the perception of myself moves beyond the area who I think I am, and beyond the definitions of self. And if I go even bigger and I become the whole galaxy and the whole universe, well, what becomes of that elephant is nothing. So basically the pain, physical or emotional, and mostly the emotional one, because for physical, we tend to take a pill to get rid of it. So, you know, like it's easier to deal with it. But the emotional pain is the hardest to endure because it's excruciating. Like it's very, very hard. And I've had my own moments of emotional pain, like everybody else. Welcome to the club. So the idea is pushing you. It's like, if you allow it, of course, is pushing you, if you dare, to go through it and then just contain that pain. You don't have to go against it. You don't have to heal it. You don't have to push it away. It is there, but it became a little tiny ant where I am the whole galaxy, so it's not even visible. So then I can just go on with what I have to do and the realization of who I am. So pain can be actually a very important tool for self-realization. Talking as a yogi, you can really learn a lot and you can really move. Actually, it's changing your awareness. It's not learning necessarily, learning like I have to learn a lesson, but it's more of tuning into other abilities that I have. Okay, I'm going to stay stuck with this pain, or I'm going to explore what else I can be, what else I can become, what other abilities I have as a human being. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes
Oh,
sense.
I love that. That was beautiful. And it's acceptance as well. It's trying not to push something away when it's part of your body, part of who you are, part of what you're experiencing and part of your journey. So it's accepting that and
Exactly.
and changing it. Yeah, changing it.
But how do you accept? You have to, how can you accept? We accept when we feel it's not dangerous. And there is a distinction that I wanted to make here between pain and feeling hurt. Yeah. Because pain is part of life. It's part of my neurology. I'm designed like this so that I can navigate through life safely. If that, who was saying, if I cut my finger, I have to know, oh, next time maybe I don't use this knife that way. So it's part of, you know, making sure that I function in this world without cutting and chopping myself off continuously, right? So pain is there for that, to recognize if it's too hot, if it's too cold, if it's dangerous for my life. But being hurt is getting into a different layer, which is more emotional. And there you have to look at the underlying issue. And for me, for instance, pain as general pain, like I used to have before, when I studied Ayurveda and I started to practice and apply those principles, I understood there was an underlying principle behind it, which is specific to Vata dosha, which is the wind element, the wind dosha, which is that I am too weak, I am too fragile, I am too sensitive. The world is a dangerous place. So it's one thing to use intelligently the pain as it happens. Okay, I cut myself, I don't do that anymore. And another thing is to think at the depth of your being that the world is a dangerous place when it's not. No. So that perception also shifts the way you are seeing yourself, and then things start to touch you less in a bad way, and they start to touch you more in a wonderful way.
Absolutely, Suzanne. And also love and pain and pleasure and pain, they're next to each other. So if they are so close to each other, we experience pain if we love someone so much and they hurt you, or we experience pain if we love someone so much and then they move on to the next universe and they move on. We experience pain in a multitude of different ways. But it is perception as well. So you can turn that pain into love and appreciation in certain circumstances too, because they're interlinked. They're the same strong emotion, just a different way of looking at things sometimes. So that's quite an interesting way to look at it. Maybe, yeah, Marie, what would you say?
I'm listening to all of you, and and it's just so, it's just fascinating to see all the different way we have to deal and with thinking of pain. And as we are talking now, I mean, I actually feel physical pain, and I'm just trying to connect, because one thing that, for example, comes when pain is physical at some point, it's all more like, how do you disconnect it so it doesn't stop you from focusing? Whether it's a mental pain because you've got recurring thoughts which you're not happy with, we are coming back. Whether it's a physical pain, which is just dragging your attention to wherever into your body, whether the two are combined, because eventually the intensity of whatever thoughts you are having are somehow translating into, whether it's going to be sadness, it can be anything, and it will translate somewhere into your body. So, but yes, it's there to let us grow, but it's also the message is, what do I do with you? I think we spoke about that, and there's still a factor which I find a little bit aggravating, is when you're aware that there is a pain is there to tell you something and make you grow, and yet you haven't yet find what you're supposed to grow from that. And that's where it's fantastic to be able to get some help or use some tools, because awareness is something already beautiful, and trying to be able to move the pain and play with it and say, okay, I've seen you, but please later, can I just come back later? Can we just slow down, etc.? But it comes back. And I think until such a time we've understood if it's mechanical, fix the mechanical issue, because in some cases, you know, let's say if it's a sore tooth with the nerve, we'll remove the nerve and we'll fix mechanically what's happening. But if it's a pain that is recurrently coming, until such a time we find the reason to be at peace with either the reason why or identify how to deal with it, the pain is coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
Till we've understood the message. What was the message? And until such a time we've understood that message and we're dealing with it, the pain is just coming back.
Absolutely. Can
I add something here?
Can I just say as well, Susanna, can someone run through maybe some like a little guided pain relief meditation or something, or a guidance? It might be quite nice if we can actually do a technique that can help someone that's got a pain, how to do it. That might be quite nice. So, sorry, Susie, go on. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to answer a bit to the comment of Marie, which is very pertinent, and it makes sense. But that brings us down to knowing your body, no? Because that's the thing. Ultimately, how well do you know your body, and what does this pain tell to you? Because you and only you can know. Of course, you can go and check with the doctor, and of course, you should do that if the pain is really bad. But for me, for instance, when I have a specific time of pain, I know that is my liver. So I know that probably I ate too much cheese, so I'm going to start to detox a little bit the next day. If I have a pain in my tummy, I know that this is something else. If I have a pain in my spine, I know that it's my hernia, and then I'm going to reflect on that, do some yoga. So it comes down to knowing your body. How well do you know this instrument?
Yeah.
So we have two options. I either go and trust somebody else and I go and check a health specialist, either a doctor or an alternative medicine specialist, or I learn how to use this and then I know what each pain represents, because that's how it's like having a relationship with your child. When the child cries when they're babies, you know what they cry, you know that they're thirsty, you know by the way they cry, no? You know they're thirsty, you know they're hungry, you know they're fed up, you know they're tired. So you're going to react according to the type of response. So I guess that's what it is. Knowing your body, it gives you hints into how to deal with a type of pain.
Absolutely. So can anyone do a guided meditation or a guided, because I know hypnosis is really, really good at, you can create numbness with hypnosis, or you can directly suggest or indirectly suggest that the pain disappear. Or you can.
Yeah, I do a lot of work with hypnosis, but often it takes a bit longer, and I'm very interested. I've got a drill happening in the background, so it's probably not.
Okay, no, let's do.
But Kate, I want to, what you spoke about now sounds amazing. So
yeah, Kate, would you do a technique?
Same thing that you were talking about that you did on the weekend?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. Yeah, if you've got time. Yeah.
And I can mute.
I think and just before that, the other thing I was thinking of that Danielle mentioned was about when you change the meaning of something in emotional pain. And you're talking about love and pain being the same thing, just flipping it over. And it is very much that. So any pain that you're feeling emotionally, then if you can think about, well, what is it that I want more of? What's causing me pain, and what do I want more of, so that I don't have the pain anymore? And if I'm feeling lost and I want more love, then go out and give more love. And it's not just love to others, but to yourself too. Maybe you're not giving enough love to yourself. And so it's just working out, what am I missing? What's this pain telling me I need more of? And then be that love to yourself and to others. The more you become that, the opposite of what you feel you're missing, then the pain sort of just goes on its own.
Yeah.
And so that was just a little trick that I had. Yeah. So yeah, if you'd like to do this, then we can.
I'd love to, because I woke up, I had a bit of a headache this morning, probably because I've done a million things today already. So I'm going to clear my headache. It's going to go.
Yeah, so it's just get yourself in a comfortable position, just however you want to sit or be, and just take a nice deep breath. And just imagining now your body just relaxing. So firstly, if you close your eyes, then just imagine all the muscles around your eyes just really letting go, really relaxing deeply, so that they're so, like your eyelids are so heavy now and so relaxed that they won't even work anymore. So they're just nicely, deeply relaxed, your eyes. And then imagine that feeling now going to your jaw, letting your jaw slacken a little bit and relaxing your tongue. And if when you're relaxing your eyes, if you just look up slightly inside with your eyes closed, but just look up slightly and just notice how that relaxes your jaw even more when you do that. And so just feeling your jaw and your mouth and your eyes, everything relaxing now in your head. And then focusing on that feeling of relaxation, and just send a wave of that feeling all the way down your body now, all the way down to the tips of your toes and the tips of your fingers. So that every time you breathe out now, send another wave of relaxation down your body. Imagine your body relaxing doubly every time you breathe out, and just do that for a few breaths. And now focusing on that relaxation, just leaving that in place and just checking in with every part of your body and just making sure that it's as relaxed now as it can be. Just making sure your shoulders are nice and just hanging there. And just breathing however you like to breathe. Now just checking inside, just go inside and just say hello. Hello inside. And just look for a place inside that maybe isn't feeling as comfortable as you would like it to be right now. Just look around and see what's in there. Maybe there's a part of you that's sort of resisting that relaxed feeling. So just go over and say hello to that place. Hello. And just noticing what that feeling's like. Is there any tightness there, or is there any weight there? Is it light or is it heavy? And what about a colour? What colour is it? And how might that be moving now? Is there any movement to it? Is it swirling or is it just sitting there still? And what about a shape? Is there any shape, or is it just like a mist? Or is it solid? However that is for you right now, just have a look at it. Just feel it. Maybe there's some sound there with it. And while you're focusing on that place now, just ask it once, what's the word that really fits this feeling now? One word, if you could come up with a word, and it might not be a word, it might be a symbol or something, or a phrase, or just even a picture or a memory, something might come that fits that feeling perfectly for you right now. So just try on a few words and things, and it might just tell you what it wants to be called, I don't know. Just whatever comes into your mind, to let your body tell your mind what this is now. Now I'd like you to just tuning into that place. Just ask it now. What's between you and feeling fine now? What's between you and feeling fine? And you may not consciously be aware of anything that it says to you, but just anything that just comes, and you may get a sense of something and just put it outside of yourself. Just let it sit somewhere. It may want to move somewhere else in your body, but invite it to come and sit next to you. Whatever is between you and feeling fine right now, when you're talking to this part of you. And just let it come and sit outside of yourself. And then ask it again. What else? What else is between you and feeling fine? And invite it again to anything that's between you and feeling fine. Just put it outside, let it sit, let it stack up one on top of the other, all these things, whatever it is. And again, you may not be consciously aware of anything that's happening, but just trust that your mind and your body know exactly what to do now, and they're just doing this for you. And keeping asking, what else is between me and feeling fine now? And stacking these things up, one after another, outside of you. And then when you get a sense that the work is done, just say, is that everything now? Besides all of this that's outside of me now, is everything fine? Yes or no? And then you'll get a sense of a yes or a no in your body. Your body will tell you. So are you getting a yes now or a no? Just nod your head or shake your head. Okay, for those that you get a yes, then just focusing on that feeling now without all these things inside of you. And just focusing on that feeling in this space that you've now created. Just start putting a healing place in that space. Some sort of healing, whatever healing looks like to you, whatever color healing is to you. Now start bringing that in. And brightening that feeling. It's filling all that old space up now with something that is healing and warm and bright. And for those of you who still have work to do, now just keep saying, what else? What else is between me now and feeling fine? And whatever it is, just put it outside. Add it to the stack. And then what else? What else is between me and feeling fine? And keeping going. Letting go, letting it go now. Whatever you need to let go of now, let it go. And you can just sit there beside you. It's not going far, it's just there. Let it just sit there. So for those of you that didn't have a yes before, what are you getting now? Are you getting a yes or a no? Good. So now we're at a yes. So now just allowing that feeling, all that space now to be filled with that feeling of healing. Whatever that healing feeling is for you now, that brightness, that warmth, that color, whatever it is for you. Maybe it's a memory of when you were just at that time when you just felt so alive and full of energy and healing and just knew you could take on the world, that feeling. Just put that in that place. Whatever you need to do now, and your body knows exactly what it needs. And your mind can help it do that just by creating that feeling now in that space. And just brightening it even more now, doubly brightening it. And then double it again. And then double it again. And notice how you can just keep doubling it, because this brightness knows no end. This healing feeling is there for you always, because that brightness comes from within. And it's tapping into the energy of everything around you. So you can just draw more in every time you need it. Draw it into you. Filling up that space anytime you need to. Any pain that comes, you can bring that space and that feeling of healing into that space. Creating that space and then just filling it up with that energy, with that aliveness, with that well-being. And then while you're feeling this feeling now, and you can just expand that, can't you? You can expand that now. Notice how that can become all over your body now, that feeling. You can just expand it out to any other part of you that may need a bit of energy right now, a bit of brightness. Make a bit of space for that energy. And why not share that a bit further? Share it out with everyone around you. Share it out to everyone that you meet today. Because you can always get more. It's just coming in all the time, flowing through you. And while you're basking in that beautiful feeling of healing, then just notice that stack that's next to you. And just decide what you need to do with that now. Can you just leave it there? Does it need to dissolve away, or maybe turn into smoke and just disappear over the horizon like a cloud that just disappears? Or can you just leave it there and walk away from it? Whatever you need to do now. Maybe parts of you need a bit of that. Maybe parts of you need to resolve something that's in there. And just trust that your mind and body know what to do, and let them go and do that now. Just resolve that now. These are just parts of you that needed healing. And now you have the tools to do that now. And just checking in with yourself now, checking with your mind and your body, and just thanking them for this time you've had together. For this new space that you have now. And there's all this extra energy that you've allowed in and allowed to flow through you, in and out, with every breath. It's just flowing in and out of you, renewing itself all the time. And when you're sure that your mind and body have made all those arrangements for you now, you've got everything that you need now to get on with your day, then just slowly come back to the room, notice a bit of the sounds around you, notice your body on the chair, notice your breathing. And then whenever you're ready, just open your eyes and give yourself a nice big stretch, and then come back to now.
Wow.
How's that head?
It's gone. And do you know what? That was incredible. I was really quite hypnotized under that. I kept really going. And in the back of my neck, that's where I had like a lump. It was like a black lump. That's what it felt like, tight. And that's what was giving me the headache, which I realized. I didn't realize until. And when you said to put it next to you, it was like onyx. That's what it kept saying, onyx to me. And it just freed up, and then it went all white and light. And now it was wonderful. I was really, really quite under there though. Kate, that was incredible. Thank you. How do you guys feel?
That was wonderful. I also loved it. It's so nice having someone else do the talking so that, you don't have to, when you're working on yourself, you're always like saying, okay, now I'm feeling this, and you're kind of talking yourself through it, or I am. And so it's so divine to not have to think about it. So I was actually able to be sure that everything was out there. You know what I mean? Like the first time I wasn't quite 100% sure, and it was nice to just let the last few. But what was interesting was the word was persecution that came up, which was bizarre. And when you said like what needs to go outside and sit with it, and a lot of it was genetic, like it kept the words genetic stuff, or so I don't know, I just found that quite fascinating because I've not had that come to me before. So Kate, thank you. But my shoulder does, and I've got continual pain in my shoulder from that horse accident. But it felt like this grip, like this vice metal black thick solid grip thing. But I must say I feel quite flexible in my, because as you started talking about it, I could feel my shoulder like, so wow, thank you.
Great,
lovely.
good.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Was that good, Susie? Marie? All good?
Yeah, me too. I felt something. I didn't feel much pain, but when I paid attention, there was some tension in the back of my neck. And the word that came to me when she mentioned that was stuck. And it was something that was very solid and completely fixed, like there's nothing that moves. And it was nice to take out the things. And I actually saw these things that were staying between me and that, the resolution. I could just see them vanishing and dissolving into thin air. So it was beautiful. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kate.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you so much.
Oh, guys.
Just, still
I know,
absorbing.
Marie. I know, right? Well, it's come to that point. It's like 12 o'clock again. So firstly, thank you all for just for everything, for being in my life. Thank you for everything that you do, and like making my life even more brighter. Like, I'm just so grateful. And anyone that's watching this, I hope you got as much value as what I did and what we all did from that. So this is your, you can come back to this at any time and come back and do the technique whenever you need it. You know where we are. Share it with your friends, anyone that you feel might get value and benefit from what we've done today. Please do share, subscribe, like, and visit all of our pages, which I'll list everything below in the I can't even talk. I'm in another planet, but you know what I'm trying to say. Telepathy. So everyone, thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. And we will see you on Friday, all being well, please God. And guys, I'm gonna sign off from being live now, and I'll be with you. So bye everyone in YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere.
Bye.
Bye.